You know, we've all been there, flipping through Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever, and we're just looking for something to really bum us out. You know what I mean? Like, what's something that just can make me really, really sad? Like, why would we seek that out? Why are we looking for? Why do we want to know? Why are we interested in it? But we all are. We want to see them. We like them. You know, they hit us in the feels for the different reasons and all the things. So I mean, I gotta make a video about them, right? 7 absolutely depressing movies. Let's start off with really just this banger, The Fox and the freaking Hound, dude. These 80s movies were just so brutal. They were not made for kids. They marketed them to us, but really they just traumatized us. It messed my whole generation up, I feel like. Todd's mother is killed in the opening sequence right away, leaving him as an orphan, right? And then the whole transformation of Copper from a happy, playful little puppy. I just got a new puppy myself, and seeing him run around, be happy, kind of hit me in the feels, because then we see him turns into this hunting dog, right? And he's aggressive and he's angry and he's lost his playful, happy nature. And the whole movie, you know, it just represents just a tragic, terrible loss of innocence, you know, the painful process of growing up, losing connections, showing Copper and Todd separated, you know, with their memories of each other. It just is seriously brutal. Just think about, honestly, I'm feeling a little bit of pressure behind my eyes just thinking about that, just loss of relationship, friendship, gone forever, childhood, the whole thing. Brutal. But I think the next thing might be a little more brutal, but it's not quite as, doesn't hit quite as personally as something like The Fox and the Hound, and that is The Road. Now, yes, the movie is brutal, but dude, the book, holy cow. My father-in-law, he was looking for a book to read, and I was like, hey man, have you read The Road? It's really good. It's one of my favorite books. And he was like, no. I was like, oh, it's like a father's son. It's really sad. Like, you should, I mean, it's really good. It's just really sad. And he, let's just say he was not happy with me for recommending The Road. He was saying, like, bro, this is the saddest, most depressing thing I have ever consumed in my life. So for that, I am sorry, but it just is so brutal. I mean, the setting, the theme of the book and of the movie is despair and nihilism. So it doesn't get a whole ton more depressing than that. I mean, it's just loss, isolation. There's no resolution at all. You know what I mean? It just is this super sad story that plays out terribly. And like, it just plays with your heart and your mind, just thinking like, what would I do in this situation? And just like the pull of the dad trying to keep his son alive and keep the memory of the past alive. Up next is Wind River. So Corey Lambert, the main character, played by Jeremy Renner, as the protagonist, you know, he's haunted by the death of his own daughter, which is already a very sad, terrible place to be. Then the film revolves around just the brutal murder of Natalie Hanson, a young Native American woman, and the investigation into her death and how the terrible things that happened to her, and then the terrible things that happened to all of the other Native American women on the reservations, and how there's no hope for any of them. I mean, like, in broad scopes, Wind River, it just portrays just this super broad sense of hopelessness for anybody, especially for the women living on reservations. Up next is another sad river, and that's Mystic River. Now we're getting into the real dark stuff. You know, a movie about childhood trauma, you know, the lifelong effects of, I mean, bro, this is when we're getting into the real dark stuff, real bad stuff. When we just came from Wind River, and you know, it's feeling that same type of vibe, and then we hit it hard with Mystic River. So, I mean, each guy ends up sad after it's all done. Like, Jimmy's act of killing Dave doesn't bring him any solace, doesn't give him any peace. Sean uncovers the truth about Katie's murder, but can like do nothing to repair the damage that's already done. And then Dave, the biggest victim of them all, the poor guy, dies unfairly. You know, he's not only a victim of Jimmy's revenge, but also of a lifetime shaped by this terrible trauma from his childhood from the freaking priests. So can it get much darker than that? I mean, maybe. We're going to try here. So the next movie is You Were Never Really Here. This movie deals with trauma, PTSD, violence and abuse against kids, trafficking. I mean, This movie's really got it all in the, like, not in like the got it all good sense. There's no real resolution at all from the movie. Our main protagonist, he fantasizes about himself multiple times, including like a terrible scene where he imagines shooting himself at a dinner where nobody cares that he did it. This is how most of Lynn Ramsey's movies are. They're all pretty hard-hitting and very hard to watch, but she does a good job not like sensationalizing the violence or the trauma. Everything feels very real, and that's another reason why it's on this list, is because everything just feels, because it's not sensationalized, right? You're not getting maybe like a Tarantino violent craziness where it makes it feel less real. Lynn, she leans into the realism, and it really takes an even more brutal toll on the viewer because of it. Real quick, my name is Austin Kohler. I have studied, watched, and reviewed over 10,000 hours of film. Storytelling is extremely important to me. I think it is one of the best ways that we can communicate, that we can connect with each other, and I think it's really important to be able to tell the difference between good stories and bad stories. And if you feel similarly, please subscribe. Up next, we have The Mist. This movie is on this list for one reason, and one reason alone. And if you've seen the movie, then you know exactly what that reason is. And that would be the very end of this movie. It's not that great of a movie. It's okay. I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars, maybe. David mercy killing his own son and his friends, only to discover moments later that the military was just seconds away from him. Bro. Like, when it happens, it is just like, because you think it's going to be the aliens or whatever is going to show up, and then the military rolls in. It's like, bro, like, can you freaking imagine what that, I mean, like, dude, you couldn't go on. You know, you could not go on. Last movie is, if you're not sad already, I'm going to help push you over the edge. Requiem for a Dream. Is this movie, this has got to be the best depiction of the drug use spiral, right? It has to be. It's the pinnacle. It's the best example that we've ever seen. So freaking brutal. How many times can you say brutal in a video? Hit me with a brutal down in the comments, would you? Because this one is, it's just terrible. So let's say each character, because every single character in this movie ends up sad and alone, and loss of all of their hopes and dreams just completely gone. Sarah, who wants to be on TV and you'll fit into her red dress, but ends up being completely addicted, falls into psychosis, and institutionalized. Then we've got Harry and Marone, who dream of escaping poverty, starting a business, growing up, being bigger, being better, but their heroin addiction spirals out of control and completely ruining their lives, making them even worse off than they were to start. And then Tyrone, poor guy, just wants his mom's approval and ends up in prison. There is no happiness, there's no catharsis. We, the viewers, are just left after Requiem for a Dream is finished with just an overwhelming sense of despair as every character ends in isolation and misery. Patreon.com/Austin Kohler. If you're not depressed enough already, head on over there. You can write to me for free right now for 7 days at the collaborator tier, and let me know the movies that I did miss. You can subscribe here or watch some more videos here if you're looking for a bit of a pick-me-up after this one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.